Hi everyone, this is Cherry Enchantress with Pixie Dust Tarot, and this is your daily dust for Wednesday, June 7th, if you're watching in real time, but it can also be for whenever you stumble upon it. It is also a timeless reading. However, if you're following with me every day, thank you so much. We are doing a series of the decks that are inclusive for Pride Month and also for Juneteenth. And I would like to, before I continue, shout out to my son, Sammy. It's his birthday on June 7th. All right, so let's see. We're using Pastel Journey by Vanessa Samina, and definitely very beautiful and very inclusive. It has lots of fun images. And not to mention, it has this beautiful rainbow edge. Hoping that that's what my deck is going to look like when it comes back. We'll see. Holographic edging. Let's give it a good shuffle and then take 3 cards from the middle. That will represent energy for today, but it can also represent future energy or some kind of remembering something in the past to think about today. Whatever it is your message. And take from the middle. 5 of Swords. That's funny because we saw 3 of Swords at the bottom. Okay. Ace of Pentacles. And, ooh, 9 of Pentacles. Well, that's a good progression. I like it when the card to the left is the card that we're trying to get over, because that represents past energy or energy going out. It could be your morning, kind of getting off to a rocky start, but things getting better towards the end of the day. Let's zoom on in and see what else we get. Like me, you could find yourself sleeping late and realizing you have work to be done, and it just kind of throws you off a little bit. But I feel like with the Ace of Pentacles, you're like steering the wheel and correcting, like you're self-correcting, and things are back on track, especially in a financial and monetary way. Maybe you wake up wondering, where the heck is my check today, or something like that, or I was gonna get paid, or what happened to my bank account, or something like that. And then the day gets better and you say, oh, I do have money and I'm sitting pretty. Actually, I'm getting more than I expected. Some of you may be like haven't done taxes in a while, and this could be one of those kind of scenarios where you thought maybe just a little bit of money or return, and then you realize you're getting a big return. So back to the 5 of Swords. The 5 of Swords is kind of like cheater energy, but it can be a number of things. It doesn't have to be outright cheating on something. We also had the 7 of Swords, which was deception or yeah, like stealing. So the cheating and the stealing cards are kind of nuanced, in my opinion. There's a big range of what is cheating and what is stealing, and neither of them to me are good in most circumstances. But like, say for example, the 7 of Swords, deception, could end up being something that you do in order to surprise something. Now the 5 of Swords to me is like sometimes has to do with shortcuts. And shortcuts, in a general sense, to me is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's great when you find a quick way of doing something. You know what I just heard? I heard AI. AI can be an interesting shortcut that you have to kind of decide for yourself. It's like this is the win, but it's kind of like the win at what cost. This is the feeling of I did it, but with not, maybe you you did it through means that weren't 100% authentically you, or you rushed it, or you took different kind of steps to get to the end result. So the caveat here is some things that you need to learn, you have to go through the process. Sometimes you want to speed things up, so you'll skip steps, or you find a speedy way of doing it, or take the shortcut. But maybe taking the long road is the road you're supposed to take for the learning process. But not always. I mean, sometimes the shortcut is necessary in a time crunch, or it's almost like, oh, I know. It makes me think a little bit of Miracle Grow. So let's say, for example, I know this is crazy, but this could be so many things, and this is a mundane reading. So mundane readings can be just real simple things, like you're working on your garden, and see, this is like the gardener, and you're like, I want my blooms to bloom faster and lusher and fuller and more beautiful. Don't want it to take so much time, and I want it to be a little bit faster, and I want it to be a little bit fuller. So, and I had that sort of scenario myself once in my life. I had this really nice yard, and I wanted like quicker ways to get to the end result, and Miracle Grow was kind of a quick way to get nice, lush, full blooms. It seems like that's like the only product out there now, but before, there's different kinds of products you could get, and Miracle Grow was the elusive product that had like kind of magic to it, had mystery to it, and it actually worked, and it helped bring about the result that you're looking for. So something like that could also be, like, you could be waking up wishing, I could just learn this course without going through the whole thing, or I wish I could like lose all this weight without actually putting that effort into it. Maybe there's some kind of magic pill or something, and that can go back to yesterday's buyer beware. For some people, like, sometimes things that are advertised are not always legitimate ways of going about doing something. So the Five of Swords has a lot of those kind of messages in it. It can be something that's challenging, something that requires a lot of patience. Sometimes you might, in a Five of Swords situation, you might lose patience, or you may feel it coming upon you like, okay. The lucky part of the Five of Swords is that swords is air signs and mental activity. So mental activity can help you keep your cool, but at the same time, sometimes you get into your head too much. And when you get into your head too much, you're overthinking. You don't use your compassion or the other gifts that you have. And sometimes you don't even use your mind, the good part of your mind, which is your intuition, your higher mind. So it's always important to use that higher energy, that is your higher mind. So whenever you're dealing with some kind of situation, emotionally charged or whatever, try to keep your cool. This is just kind of keeping your cool, and realize there could be challenges, but the challenges aren't going to get you down. You don't need to take shortcuts necessarily, but you may find a shortcut that's helpful. But just remember, in the shortcut taking, it's important not to infringe on anybody else's creativity and their work. Not then that goes into the Seven of Swords, the stealing, right? Cheating and stealing and lying, the three of those are kind of closely related to each other. I remember I was a camp counselor one summer and I didn't do much of the counseling. I did more of the bus driving of the kids, but I was there also supportive and played games and basketball and stuff. And then the main camp counselors would talk to the children and give little speeches. And there's one in particular who would say, "Don't lie to me. If you can lie, you can cheat, and if you can cheat, you can steal." And so it just kind of like, she kind of just saw it as an escalating kind of thing. If you don't have those kind of morals where you set into place boundaries for yourself and being authentically you, and don't step beyond them. So sometimes you may want to dabble in this energy and realize, hey, this is not me, and I'm not going to do it, and there you have it. You don't do it, you don't follow through on that. It's just, for you, it feels wrong. But there's some like cheating things or skipping certain things. Like, say for instance, I've been doing tutorials with James Julier. You might like to check him out if you're interested in art at all, or you have Procreate, or you have an iPad, just for fun, following along. And what's cool about doing those tutorials and using Procreate, they have brushes, and those brushes sometimes have a particular texture that in some cases would take forever to capture just alone with your stylus, dot by dot, stroke by stroke. And then they have a brush that takes care of that stroke all in one brush. That, I would say, is a beneficial shortcut if you if you want to put a little less time into something and you just want it to be more represent what you're looking for. So there's lots of kinds of art out there. There's the very realistic detailed art, and then there's kind of a realism, more of an impressionism, sort of somewhere in between. It's like a mix of impressionism and realism. It's like using impressionistic techniques that when you pull away from it, it looks realistic. And that's kind of what I think what he goes for mostly, but he has the ability to look ultra realistic. It's just a matter of time that you put into it, that you can create an ultra realistic look with many layers and lots of time and a lot of detail and a attention to detail. But if you want to give the impression of a realistic look without actually putting all that effort and time into it, then that's fine, especially if you do things like this, like create decks. This is very impressionistic and it's adorable. It's caricature, cartoony, and that's a great kind of actual shortcut of drawing a form of a person and surroundings that takes a little less time because it's a little less detailed. It's not realism, which takes so much time. So that could be a lesson for you today too. Like, maybe this is saying, hey, try this approach, try a more simplistic, shortcut kind of approach to a design issue, and it could pay off big time. So there's a positive message in this as well. You can take it however you want to. It could be something just, it could be as simple as the morning wakes up, you wake up with a few obstacles, and then you get over it, and your day just turns out jolly. And I hope you like that. Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust.